All right, Mr. Valley man. Uh, I'm
Amazing.
I'm super buzzing to hear about this Iron Man, mate. Like that's the main attraction. I kind of saw this, so I was like, oh, CrossFitter, pretty pretty fit individual. Yeah, sound. We like to like smash ourselves in the face with a bit of fitness. Sounds
Yeah.
great. Oh, coaching, amazing, my man, fellow man that likes to do adult PE for a living, and then also, oh, he went and did an Ironman. What an absolute savage.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Why? Why'd you do something like that?
Uh, so before I started doing CrossFit, that was, I think, probably most guys kind of go through this, you know, stage of the kind of their fitness kind of career where I started kind of doing bodybuilding. So I just, standard training at kind of a leisure center. You do your chest and your tries and your back and buys, and you do your legs kind of occasionally. But even though I did love that kind of training, I loved the kind of lifting the weights and kind of getting bigger and stuff like that. Um, I always had it in my head that I wanted to be able to like move with purpose.
Yeah.
Uh, so I always used to call myself kind of like a hybrid athlete because I never kind of wanted to pigeonhole myself into just being a bodybuilder.
Mm.
Um, in kind of relative terms as well. I never got to the stage where I was like stepping on stage, kind of in budgies. But that's the kind of type of training that I was doing.
Just doing that in your own time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stepping out on
Um,
your own mini stage at home on your budgies, like maybe out in
oh
the
no, no.
deck.
I mean, yeah, no, no. I mean,
Mate, I'm only fucking with you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You obviously, as part of everyone's kind of fitness journey, you obviously want to see the improvement. So I mean, back then it was just about kind of getting stronger and kind of getting bigger and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I never got to the stage. So
Mm.
I'm pretty pleased about that.
Yeah, I have to admit, like CrossFit is so addictive in the sense of like you're always going to be shit at something, right? There's always
Hmm.
something that's like, oh, I need a little bit more time and effort on this modality, on this skill, on the barbell,
Yeah,
whatever it is, right? And I think that is such an addictive feeling. And I
yeah,
also think it was so cool that you tested that sense of training over on an Ironman. I think that is really, really cool.
yeah, yeah. So the Ironman or the Ironman that I actually did, it's literally on my doorstep. So I
Oh
live
wow.
in a place called Tenby in West Wales, and then they've been hosting the Ironman there for the last 10 years.
Hmm.
So it's kind of, if it's on your doorstep, I mean, everyone around here does it. It's almost like usual if you live kind of here in Tenby or around Tenby and you haven't done an Ironman. Um, so I did my first one in 2018, and that was actually when I was still doing like the bodybuilding kind of training. And I did it with my now brother-in-law. So back then it would have been my girlfriend's brother, and then my now father-in-law as well. Um,
Wow.
they both wanted to do it, so I was like, yeah, I'll jump right in.
Wow. Unbelievable, mate. I think there's so much to be said for like that old school British mentality, right? It's kind of Wales, Northern England, Scotland, where it's just like we're gonna do these hard things because simply they
Mm,
are hard, and it's
yeah,
gonna suck, and we're just gonna push each other and kind of self-suffer. And
yeah, 100
I love
percent.
meeting individuals like that, man, and seeing what they do. And going up to like Keswick in the Lake Districts and seeing the fell running is unbelievable.
Hmm.
Go into the valleys and you just, what are you doing? Oh, we're just kind of lugging things up and down a hill. Why? I don't know. It keeps us
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
trouble.
yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
Mate,
I
man,
love that part. I think like I think everyone needs some sort of, maybe not necessarily like hardship, but they need challenges in life. Whether that's kind of when they're younger or older or all throughout. I don't know. Um, but it kind of shouldn't. I think the moment everything kind of becomes a bit too easy, kind of maybe that's when you're maybe going a little bit wrong. Um,
hmm
you need to be working towards something, and you need some hard challenges to face.
for sure, man. And ease is best friends with complacency, right? And complacency is is never a good thing. Usually, in the long term, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Short term, it feels
Hmm.
great. Let's lie down, eat a pizza on a Tuesday night. But long
Yeah,
term, that's probably not going to be the greatest of
yeah,
options.
yeah. And I mean, like everyone goes through that. Even kind of the best, athletes or CrossFit or in any other sport, they'll have the nights where they have the binges or the pizza, or they might have an off week. But I think if on average, if on aggregate, you have those goalposts set and you are working towards something, then again, on average, you're going to be in a better place in 6 months.
Yeah, agreed. It's that we're not going to get that linear progression, right? But as long as the median
No,
goes up, it doesn't really matter.
100%. Yeah,
So,
100%.
what was the main thing you learned from doing the Ironman?
Um, the first time or the second time? Because the first time was in 2018, and then this time was obviously this year in 2020.
Either or, brother.
Um, I think the first time I did it, I just kind of wanted to display, because as I said, I used to call myself this hybrid athlete. Um, and I guess for me, it was not pigeonholing myself to just being a bodybuilder. It was the ability to then be able to kind of go into other things, or other sports. But if I'm honest, when I did the Ironman in 2018, I kind of did just like plod round. So I didn't have a time in mind. I didn't push any paces. And I guess it depends who you are. Like some people looked at that and they were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! Like that was an amazing time." But I mean, when I did it this year, my fitness was just generally higher because of all the CrossFit stuff that I do. So aerobic base and everything that kind of comes with, being a CrossFitter. So my performance was a lot better. I was able to kind of push I again didn't really have a pace in mind, whether when I was on the bike or the run, but I was just able to my output was just greater. So kind of back to your question, what did I learn? I guess just being generally, it's the whole kind of cliche CrossFit thing, being generally prepared, kind of it kind of benefits you in anything you do. Just being
Yeah.
generally fit, generally strong, and again, cliche, kind of prepared for anything.
Yeah, for sure. Prepare for the unknown, right?
Yeah,
So we're being harder to kill. I know it's like two CrossFitters
yeah,
preaching to the converted here, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
it is at
yeah.
the end of the day, right? Like if I'm gonna throw you in any situation or environment, are you gonna keel over and be like, okay, that's me. I'm tapping out.
Yeah, yeah,
Throw in a towel.
yeah.
It's like, no, no, no. You might not be world class, but you'll be able to survive it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I actually signed up initially for the Ironman that I did this year back in 2020, and I signed up with my girlfriend, my then girlfriend, now wife. But then because of COVID, it got moved over to 2021, and then it didn't happen again in 2021. So at the start of this year, obviously we knew it was coming, the Ironman, and for me, I was like, yeah, I'll just do it. And I was kind of like focusing a lot more on CrossFit this year, but so it costs about 500, maybe more, £550 to enter the Ironman. So for me, I mean, if you don't do it, you can't defer it. You've either got to kind of veto that money, or just do it. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely doing it. Whether I still train just CrossFit or whether I kind of tone down the CrossFit a little bit and do a bit more Ironman specific training, I'm definitely going to do it because I don't want to waste that money. Um, for my then girlfriend, now wife, she used to play netball, quite high level, like national side, and she did her ACL 3 times on the same knee, over the course of a few years. But I mean, she kind of rehabbed each time, kind of relentlessly, but she just kind of knows what it's like to be on the sidelines because of an injury. So for her, and especially with kind of we got married end of July, so for her it was all just a bit too much, kind of the preparing for the wedding, and so for me, like she said herself, she was like, I can't just jump into something like an Ironman, and just expect to kind of come out the other side okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about yourself? Did you just train CrossFit or did you put in a little bit more specific stuff?
No, it was like it literally was. It was just CrossFit. I think a few weeks beforehand, it was a little bit. I was a little bit ill prepared. I mean, because I was just focused. because this year for me has been so busy, just with loads of things going on, whether it's CrossFit events, getting married, and then kind of a few other things in between. I didn't really have time to kind of look at the whole year or the whole summer as a whole, and then prepare for everything. I could only just prepare for what the next thing was in front of me, and kind of just take one thing at a time. But it pretty much got to the point where it was just like, I'm just going to have to accept that I probably will just have to plod around this Ironman course, and just see what time I get at the end of it. But kind of luckily, just having done kind of so much CrossFit over the years, that, I mean, I improved my time by, I think it was almost 2 hours, and I felt really comfortable, which was good, which was an improvement from the time before.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it, man? Like how good you can actually perform just by doing everything. Like that
Yeah,
CrossFit training methodology, like it is still an experiment, right? And we're
yeah,
experimenting on ourselves and dishing out little quote unquote secrets to other people. Oh, have you tried this way? No, let's try it.
yeah,
Or like you get beaten up, you're like, that was probably a dumb idea. Cool, we're gonna toss that in the bin and we'll go again. And we're just experimenting and just having fun and being adults in a PE
yeah.
setting, right? And still be able to
Mm-hmm.
get around that course of an Ironman and do pretty fucking well, mate, is
Mm.
an amazing achievement. And I think it's so cool to show the capability of the human body, right, as well as the mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and I think another thing that kind of sticks with me, and it was the same in 2018, and it was the same this year, especially in a sport like Ironman. It is quite an expensive sport. Obviously, like there's the entry, the travel, and like people are rolling around on like 10 grand plus bikes, um, all the kind of other stuff. Um, and like some things, like obviously the entry fee could be a barrier to a lot of people. Um, as well as like the training and the memberships, when you're training for, because most people, they do take a year plus to train for something like
Mm,
this.
mm,
um I didn't want to fall into that trap of having to like get this like 6 grand bike or 10 grand bike, or you know putting all this kind of financial commitment into it. So I think the first, I mean, I did buy the bike in 2018, but it was like a time trial bike. So
mm,
I don't know how much you know about kind of bikes, but the Ironman course in Tembe is very hilly. I think it's the second hardest, or it's either top or top two hardest courses in the world because it is so hilly.
wow.
Just the incline is just crazy, or the elevation. So basically, you need a proper geared bike to allow you to kind of get up the hills. And something like a time trial bike, you don't have that gearing for hills essentially.
Mm,
Um, so I bought this bike off a local guy that I knew, and he was like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to change these cogs. You're gonna have to put another cog on because you won't get up the hills, or you're just making it much harder for yourself." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it." Never did. I did a bit. That was 2018. I did more training in 2018 than I did this year. I never did, and honestly, it got. I was going when in 2018 when I was training, I was with my brother-in-law and father-in-law, and they were in the kind of like this easiest gear, and their rotations or their cadence on with their pedals was just like so fast, and I was literally just like struggling through these on this hill just because I couldn't go any easier
mm,
on this bike. Then you kind of fast forward to like this year. I didn't have a bike. I borrowed brother-in-law's bike, um, and I don't know. It's not for everyone, but like something like like most sports, and for this Ironman sport, like you don't have to have the best gear. You don't have to invest or you don't have to put your life savings into something. You can literally get by with just doing a bit more training if you want to get a better time.
yeah, for sure, man. And it all comes down to the mental state as well, right? Like at the end of the day, like you're gonna spend those pounds, right? And you're gonna get some lycra, or you're gonna get a better bike,
Mm,
or whatever it is,
yeah,
right? Better pair of running shoes. But at the end of the day, man, you gotta get yourself around that course. You've got to swim, you got to bike, you got to run.
yeah,
And if you don't work on one, your head, and two, actually training, are you physically
yeah,
capable of doing this thing? If the answer is no, like a new bike is not going to get you around that course, mate.
yeah, yeah. And the same kind of the same kind of thing in our CrossFit gym. You kind of see it all the time where people want to kind of get to that next stage, whether it's, they're going from a ring row to a pull up, or pull up to chest to bar to bar muscle up. And some, like, you can have the best coaches in the world sometimes and they give the right cues, the right feedback. But eventually it's kind of gonna have to get to a point where you literally need to do a bit more training, whether it's, putting a bit more time into the kind of your strict strength. And sometimes people are guilty of kind of turning to that coach or turning to someone or something for that kind of leg up. But
Yeah.
sometimes you literally just got to do it yourself.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, they come in and I was like, brother, what's the secret? What's the key? How do I
Yeah.
how do I do what you're doing? I was like, work fucking hard and put
Yeah.
time involved in that. And then that's kind of it, mate. Like that's all that it is. I
Yeah.
think people need to understand relative intensity. Like I had a conversation a couple of days ago regarding this in the coach's perspective, right? Of like understanding relative intensity. Some people can't
Mm-hmm.
push as hard, right? If I was coaching a class, you walk in and your nana walks in, I'm not going to expect the same output, right?
Yeah.
No, it's an
No,
extreme
100%.
example, but you know what I mean. But I think people need to understand relative intensity for themselves, right? And usually the general population, right? The everyday athlete that comes in 3 to 5 times a week and just kind of wants to get a better Fran time and look good naked.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't actually know where that red line is. How many times has someone come up to you and be like, "Oh, that was so hard, like I'm dying." I was like, if you were pushing that hard, you wouldn't be able to talk to me right now.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah.
You just got to be able to, well, to an extent, right? There's a question of, do the general population need to go there? Well, maybe
No, that's
not.
true. Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
there's always two sides to every coin.
Yeah.
But I think people need to understand where that line is, and then can we push a little bit further? Can we go a little bit more? And the same goes with the volume, right? Like, can we bring the intensity down and do a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Even
Absolutely.
even if it's 3 by 10 ring rolls 3 times a week, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
take you 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think the best way that I progressed, and I was telling someone this the other day actually, when I first started CrossFit, it was literally 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after each class that I did. That's all I did, the classes, but then I always just turned up a little bit, before the class just to do a bit of extra stuff.
100%. How also, I don't know about yourself, but I never did gymnastics, no weightlifting. I
Mm.
was a swimmer and then I played rugby, right? So I came in, bunged up shoulders, couldn't move,
Yeah.
yada, 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 the whole 9 yards, right? I was like, well, how am I supposed to learn how to fucking hold onto a handstand?
Mm.
I was like, well, I need to spend a little bit more time there because I don't have that proprioception and that time previously throughout a sport, right? And obviously
Yeah.
my mobility, yada, yada. So I got to do like you, 10 minutes and then 10 minutes, 15,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
if I'm, want to live in a gym because we're crazy and it keeps
Yeah.
us off the street.
Yeah. It all adds up, doesn't it?
100%, man. Time in that position, time in that skill. We do it with weightlifting, holding people in positions. You just got to develop that time and that awareness, man.
Yeah. 100%. And
Is
kind
a
of back,
Sorry,
sorry,
what you
go on.
saying?
No, I was just going to say, kind of back to your earlier point about kind of relative intensity and the different types of people that kind of we get in the gym. You get some people who kind of are younger than others. Some people want to be competitive athletes. Some people don't. They're not interested in doing competitions. They just want to maybe train 3 times a week or 5 times a week. Some
Yeah.
people just want kind of that hour release a day from whether it's a hectic kind of family life or something else that's going on in their life from work. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And both are amazing, right?
Yeah,
Both are
100%.
correct. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. And I
Yeah,
think both need to understand, if you come in, you want that release, you don't need to be doing 3 workouts, mate. Let's go
yeah,
pretty hard for one, get a high five, de-stress, and then go home and see your family, right? And then on the other end of
yeah.
the stick, like, oh, you actually want to go do this as a sport, as like maybe semi-pro, go pro, you want to compete. I was like, mate, you're gonna
Hmm.
have to train more than 3 times a week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, as you said, kind of either is fine.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, who are we to, we're there to facilitate them and guide them towards what they want to achieve.
Yeah,
that's
Agreed.
it. You know, we're not there to dictate where they're going to lead. Sometimes we're going to make them do some things that they don't want to do, but it's for their own good, and we're
Yeah,
assholes.
agreed. Yeah.
Here's a question:
Yeah.
what have you learned from coaching?
Uh, Probably a very long list of things. That to be fair, that probably is a massive one. Just the fact that everyone's in there for kind of different reasons, um, kind of that we've just talked about. Don't know. It's kind of an ever evolving thing.
Mm, agreed.
The ability, um, I think when I first actually wanted to be a CrossFit coach was actually back in. So I started CrossFit in start of 2019, and it was only in kind of the summer of 2019 that I was like, yeah, I think owning a gym would be pretty cool. And then got in touch with one of the local kind of business parks where there could potentially be a gym. And I was speaking to someone who I knew who used to own a gym. We were kind of talking about kind of costs and figures and insurance and affiliation and stuff like that. And then it kind of like, you do all this digging and then you're like, hang on a minute, I've done CrossFit for about 6 months and I want to open a gym. I think I'm capable of opening. And it's like, I mean, with hindsight now, we're over 2 years of owning our gym now. And yeah, I definitely was not in a position where I could do it then. Obviously, so back then, 2019 summer, I decided not to, just never went forward with anything. And then it was the following year, it was August, or actually, it would have been earlier in the year. It was kind of midway through the first lockdown. That's when I got approached by my now current business partner. And she said, look, I want to open up a gym kind of down your neck of the woods. Do it together. So that's when we did it.
Wow.
And
You
like
know,
the amount, sorry.
no, don't
The,
apologize,
the,
man. Like I think there's some beauty to be said of just like kind of, you know what, one, it'll happen when it's the right time. But also
yeah,
two, there's only so much preparation you can do until you just gotta start digging. You know,
yeah,
let's just do it, man, and let's just figure this out. And I remember having a conversation with James Hobart, right? And he wrote something
yeah.
because I read an article with him. And he said something like, I think you can create a successful affiliate just on like passion alone. And then everything
Mm,
else comes after it, right? You need to then learn business model and get
yeah,
in people that know things and delegate and yada yada. But that initial, let's get over that line, let's start of, yeah, okay, you know how to move, you know how to coach, yeah, great. And you know what this CrossFit thing is, you know the model and the methodology, and you can preach that, great. But are you passionate enough to do the 6 a.m. and then the 8 p.m. like for 7 days and just get it going? I was like, if the answer is yes, fucking give it a go, man. You live once.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
ultimately people are going to benefit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's probably a good like question to ask because I mean, so I never opened that gym in 2019. We did it together in 2020, and my business partner, she's amazing. She owns a gym herself, and then we own this one together. And she's great. She's a great mentor. We work really well together, and I learn like even now, just learning so much stuff.
Mm.
And this is the whole kind of thing about being kind of an ever evolving coach. Um, yeah, it's kind of a long process of just trying to get better. But the good question is, these people who joined our gym in 2020, are they in a better position today because of inevitably you?
Yeah.
And if that question's yes, then you've made the right decision.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I love playing an experiment, right? Each new person comes in, I want them to write down three goals. You know,
Yeah,
one being physical inside of the gym, one being a mental goal, and then one being neither. Like whatever. I want to
yeah,
make money, I want to go travel or whatever, right? And
right,
then you assess it again in 6 months' time, and you just like, has our gym able to has it allowed you to progress towards those goals? Are you taking some stepping stones towards it? You know, and I think it's important because it gets coaches to think of, these are just people, not athletes. You know, like
hmm, yeah,
athletes are people too, right? And they're gonna go
yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah,
They got lives, they got families, they got other things that they need to do. We can't just smash them in the face and they're going to go home and sleep and nap and come back in and be like,
Yeah,
no, no,
not
no.
robots.
They're not robots, exactly, man. Like that's 0.1%, and they're great, and demands a completely different set of skills from us. But
Hmm.
the 99.9% of people that's going to walk through that door, and a lot of the time, 100% of those people that are going to walk through an average affiliate, they just want to live a better life, man. And I think paying
Yeah,
attention to
100%.
different goals, right, is quite an interesting game to play.
Yeah, yeah. You've coached. That's what you do now, isn't it? You do coaching.
Yeah, brother, I've done it for a long ass time. Like, I coached in general, quote unquote.
Hmm.
Whether it's sport specific, whether it's helping in high schools, whether it's CrossFit. Been doing that for like 12 years,
Yeah,
and then CrossFit for 8, and
yeah.
now have stepped into the disability sector. So coaching people living with disabilities, which is another kettle of
Wow.
fish and super,
Yeah,
super fucking cool. And yeah,
yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah,
So I geek out on this. This is my art form. You know what I mean? Like that
yeah.
getting out on the dance floor, seeing people move and be like, okay, Alex, you prepared for this for an hour for this hour class, and
Hmm.
these people have come in and just kind of thrown that out the window. And you're like, great. How am I supposed to help these people for the next 48 minutes? And
Yeah,
I find that just lights me up, dude. That's what gets me out of
yeah,
bed in
yeah,
the
yeah,
morning. I think coaching is such a special thing.
yeah. Amazing.
I fucking love it, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So I was going to say that kind of the one of the best feelings is when people kind of they click, or they kind of you get the hook for them, you get the hook on them for like the whole CrossFit thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when they've never been before, and they kind of they turn up to a beginner's class, and then they maybe, some people get it straight away, some people it takes them kind of 4 or 5 sessions.
Mm.
I always tell people, when they first kind of walk through the door, if you could kind of do a non-negotiable, whether it's 3 sessions or 5 sessions, because sometimes there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes on, whether it's in a CrossFit class, whether it's the terminology, movements,
Yeah.
and then also kind of what's going on inside of people, their fears, their kind of insecurities and stuff like that, as well as their ability. But uh, at some point, they are going to get that click where they're like, "No, this is amazing," and that, like, when you see that in people, that's a really rewarding thing. That's
Oh,
like the
dude,
best.
it's you can't put it into words, you know what I mean? Like, because that's gonna bleed off into their
Yeah,
life. It's gonna be a matter of time when they come back in and was like, brother, brother, brother. You're like, fucking hell,
yeah,
what's up
yeah.
with you? It's like, no, no, no. So I now applied for that job, or I did this and quit the job and left that toxic thing. And you're like,
Hmm.
whoa, what's going on here? It's like we've allowed them to have the catalyst of fitness, right? Just because
Yeah,
we made them go upside down for the first time, or they jumped on and off a
yeah.
box, or threw a PVC pipe above their head and called it a snatch, right? Like
Hmm.
these things just enable people to go out and be badass motherfuckers outside of the gym. And I think that's such a special thing to call a job, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a pretty rad way to pay the bills.
yeah. No, it's cool. It's really good.
I got 3 questions, bro.
Yeah, fire away.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Uh, Greatest piece of life advice. I don't know if there's like one thing in particular. I mean, there's probably a lot of just different life advice, but I can't pinpoint anything as being the best. I think probably probably one of the main ones that does stand out is just like learning to delay gratification,
Mm,
and just knowing that as long as you kind of focus on process, and this is not just like whether you're a CrossFit or a CrossFit athlete, could be like in your business or financially, and just if you are doing the right stuff day in day out, and might not be kind of where you want to be today, but you know that if you keep doing the stuff that you're doing today, you'll get to where you want to be. You'll be able to reap the rewards, and just knowing that as long as you're doing the right stuff, it'll be okay. It'll happen.
yeah, that's real good, man. Getting that ROI, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a
I think
lot.
just doing the good stuff, doing the right stuff, kind of every day. You're moving in the right direction, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Small steps. What's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Um, probably, probably to kind of wait around and kind of let good things kind of happen to you. I think, especially in the kind of a young person's life, like maybe when they've left school or kind of left uni, and that when they're kind of like figuring things out, they kind of just need to kind of experience things, whether it's go traveling or try different things. That's like a steep learning curve for people, but just kind of just kind of waiting around um, for things to happen, kind of thinking, oh, any day now it's going to happen. Um, I don't think that's kind of the way to go. I think if you want something, you've got to go out, you've got to get it, you've got to work for it.
Yeah. Agreed, man. I think there's some beauty of just jumping in, dive in that deep end and
Yeah,
see if you sink or swim, man. Because
yeah,
what's the worst
yeah,
that's going to happen? You're going to fail. Okay, great. Get
yeah,
yourself up, dust yourself off, wipe the tear from your eye, and go again, man. Like you've learned so
yeah,
much
yeah.
from failing. I don't know about you, man, but every
Oh
plan
God,
I've
yeah.
ever had in my life has never come true. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've always somewhere along the line twisted and bent and broke. And I'm like, well, I didn't get what I wanted. I was like, yeah, but you ended up somewhere else, right? And you just got to bounce
Yeah,
somewhere else and
100%.
learn from it and keep fucking going, man.
What's that saying? Shoot for the moon, aim for the stars, or is it the
Yeah,
other way
man.
around?
100%,
Yeah, yeah. No,
100%.
exactly. If you try things, you reach out and you try and achieve something, you've got goals. Again, you're going to be heading in the right direction.
For sure. And it's also attractive in every sense of the word. Seeing someone just kind of go for something and just try.
Yeah,
You're just like, you know what? That's fucking motivating. I'm gonna go do something as well.
yeah, yeah. And like 9 times out of 10, you kind of even if you tried something that's kind of there's risk involved or it's daunting, like you adapt. Like if it's a new stress, you adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
it becomes normal. You learn to deal with it. You improve. You kind of evolve yourself.
For sure, man. What's last question? What's 3 words you tell your younger self?
Um, probably just probably not to worry as much. Um, I kind of have a bad like habit, and probably not a lot of people know this. I've just got probably a bad habit of just always trying to have things worked out in my head.
Mm.
Just always trying to get ahead, but trying to think about right, what if this doesn't work out? What's my kind of plan B and my plan C, and need to make sure these things are in line. And sometimes you kind of you get so consumed with thinking about eventualities in the future that you kind of forget to take a bit more time for kind of today.
Yeah, man. I relate to that real hard.
Yeah, yeah, and it's maybe most of us and the people kind of we spend time with day in day out, maybe we're all like that, but it is not necessarily a bad thing to kind of have things mapped out.
Mm.
But I guess a balance is does help as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Big dog, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's been good.
Maybe I cross that border over the valleys and we do a bit of fitness.
You're welcome anytime. When are you next in the UK?
I'm here now, bro. I'm in Oxford.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, happy days. Anytime, anytime you want to come down or if you want to meet somewhere else, that's cool.
Sounds great, man. I'm driving over to Bristol. I got some good people to go see over there, and then literally it's just across the border. Then, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
a couple-hour
amazing.
drive, maybe 90 minutes. So might as well continue that journey on. Go get smashed in the face by a bigger
Mm,
man. Doing some
yeah, legend.
burpees, and we'll figure it out,
Amazing. Sounds good.
brother. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon, man.
Nice one. Take it easy.
Bye, everybody.
Uh,